Thursday, so it's time for Smart Money Minute with Andy Mattingly from Forum Credit Union. Andy always gives us the best financial advice. Andy, thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate being here, Jody.
Yeah. The topic today is about for those who are maybe adding a new member to the family, they're having a baby.
Yes.
This is a really good one because
Yes.
there's a lot of parents or even grandparents out there who would love to hear about this.
Yes, definitely. And it's a time in life that's a lot of happiness, but there are some financial things you need to think about.
Exactly. So what are some of the first moves that parents should just take in the short term maybe?
Well, the first thing is if the little bundle of joy hasn't arrived yet, you need to think about some of that pre-baby spending because everyone gets caught up, especially in the first one. All the cute clothes and all those things. You have a budget for that because most of those clothes they're never going to wear, and you're going to find out the best thing that you can ever have is a bunch of onesies because you're going to go through a bunch of those and you don't need all the other nice clothes.
Exactly.
And the other thing is then you've also got to talk about, you know, as parents, how much are you going to work? Are both going to work full-time, going to work part-time? No one's going to... Because that helps you decide, you know, some other moves that you need to make. So you want to have that discussion before the baby comes, not 12 weeks after the baby gets here if you have to go back to work.
That's such a good point. And I also know what you mean. My brother just had a baby, and so I cannot stop buying outfits, and I need to stop. But they're just all so tiny and cute.
Yes,
This is good advice. So what are some surprises that parents need to be aware of that can maybe impact their financial situation?
Well, I think one of the things is they don't realize how expensive a child can be on a weekly basis because you're going to go through a lot more diapers than you think, you know, and it's you know, food and formula and all of those things. But then other little things that they don't think about, like holidays are coming up, and if you have a baby and you're going to travel, all of a sudden you're adding some expenses for that.
That's true.
You know, so there's all those little things that you need to think about. So that spending can be a little bit, you know, unusual for people to get used to.
Right. Now, people who are listening to this, they might be feeling overwhelmed, but I love this next thing because you have 2 steps that have long-term implications that can be taken when the baby is born. What are those steps?
So, you know, the first one is to think about college funding. And it's just, you know, start building a little something, you know. You don't have to fund their full college by the time they're 18 because they may not go to college. And you may have more kids, and most people don't fund the full amount of college, but, you know, start with that. And the other thing is you need to think about protecting your family. So a lot of people haven't thought about disability and life insurance, and it's really an important time to put those in too, because you want to protect your family in case something happens to one or both of you.
So true. Yeah, so those are things that you can do right now that just kind of give you that sense of peace, the peace of mind, essentially. So are there any long-term then financial matters that are often neglected because you see it firsthand?
Yeah, so the first one is having an estate plan.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't have a will or anything even after they get married. So once you have a child, it's really more important that you have a will and you have a power of attorney, and more importantly, that you name a guardian for your child in case something happens to both of you. And a lot of times we see that that doesn't happen, and then that just you know, creates a big issue. Now, another important thing is you don't want to stop funding your own retirement.
Right.
You know, so you got to make sure you're still doing that because we've all figured out ways to pay for college and to borrow for college and do those things, but no one's yet figured out a way to borrow for their retirement.
Well, that's
right?
a good
You know,
point.
so you need to keep that going. So with all these other expenses, you need to make sure you're taking advantage of all the opportunities to keep your retirement going.
Yes, so put your air mask on first so that you can help others.
That's a good analogy. That's exactly what we have to do.
Well, Andy, thank you. If people want to get your advice and just learn more from you, what's the best way?
Well, you know, it's always going out to forumcu.com or follow us on @ForumTalk on Twitter. We're always posting all kinds of information out there, and we're always there to help.
I love your advice, Andy. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We got all the information that's been coming up on the screen. All right, well, Clayton is hanging out over there, and I'm smelling something really good. So, Clayton, what's cooking over there?